Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Cokerhook. This evening, I have with me the artistic director of Teatro Visión, which is a theater company here in the San Jose area. And the gentleman with me is the artistic director, Mr. Rodrigo García. Rodrigo, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming up from San Jose for the show today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Teatro Visión, and this is a Chicanx, Latinx theater company in San Jose. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I want to get in and learning a little bit about that, but I want to learn more about you a little bit first, because as artistic director of a theater company, what is your responsibility and role?
Well, the artistic director sets the artistic vision and the mission of the company.
Okay.
The artistic director is in charge of making sure that the artistic values of the company are followed by all the work that we do.
And is that in terms of what plays you choose to show, the actors who do?
What plays, what directors we bring, what actors, what programming around the shows that we do, because there is more than just the plays. And what type of collaborations we build to strengthen the programming in general that fulfills the mission of the company.
Okay. And you've been artistic director there for how long now?
Just a few months.
A few months.
I was recently appointed in March.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. After the founder and former artistic director, Elisa Marina Alvarado, stepped down after 33 years of being the artistic director.
Wow.
So since March, I'm the new guy.
Now, had they just pulled you in from outside, or had you been with the company?
I've been with the company for about 11 years.
Oh, okay.
I first came to Teatro Visión in 2006 as an actor.
Ah, okay.
And I was very lucky. We have a lot of things to talk about, but I never thought. I showed up at the door. The door was closed, and I put my resume and my picture that I downloaded from my MySpace page, because I didn't have one headshot, and I put it through the door with a note and say, I want to audition for your company. The artistic director called me. She liked my audition, and she cast me in the show. And from there, we started developing a great relationship. I came on board to work as a staff member in 2008.
Okay.
And then in 2010, I left as a paid staff, but I remained as an artistic associate. And last year, I was appointed associate artistic director. And this year in March, as the artistic director.
Great. So that's interesting that you said that you went there and you put, your resume and your photo in. How did you know about the company? What was it that drew you there to begin with? Well,
in San Jose, there were no other theater companies that would produce theater or plays for Latinos. And I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I was really looking, my artistic education started in Mexico. My first language is Spanish, and I was really looking to do artistic work that related to my culture of who I am. So I knew about Teatro Visión, but I was really skeptical about trying, because I read as Chicano theater company, and I thought these folks produce only plays in English, and my English was not good. So I never really tried to audition.
What made you think that they only produce plays in English?
My lack of experience and my lack of knowledge about the Chicano experience in general.
Oh,
but one day I learned that they were going to produce a play in Spanish, and that's when I went to drop off my...
Now, had they been only doing plays in English before that, or had they always been doing plays in Spanish?
Well, Teatro Visión has been producing plays in English, in Spanish, bilingual, trilingual.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't know.
Ah, okay.
And I thought the plays that I had heard about were only in English, and I thought that was everything that they had produced.
Got it.
But to my surprise, it wasn't that way.
So they've been doing this since the beginning, producing plays that are presented in multiple languages, or at least finding a way to communicate both languages, more than one language, to the audience. Is that is that right?
That's correct. And well, the Chicano experience, it's part of the Chicano experience is the language. So Chicanos are folks of Mexican descent, of Latino descent from, Latin America, where people speak Spanish. So even if people grew up here, they still have their grandfathers, grandparents who still speak Spanish.
Right.
So there are still terms that people use in their common, language that are Spanish. So language is a big part of this identity.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of bilingual plays were produced. What we call, it had a lot of Spanglish.
Oh, yeah,
which is mostly English with the Spanish.
A little bit of Spanish thrown in,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So tell me a little bit more about this, the experience. I understand a little bit, because I was reading online a little bit about the primary purpose of the theater company. And in talking with you and in reading that, I get the impression that what Teatro Visión is looking to do is try to present the cultural experience of the, I guess, the American Hispanic population in California. At least that's the kind of way I'm interpreting it, but I'm not sure that's accurate. What is actually the objective, the purpose?
Well, for Teatro Visión, again, as a Chicano Latino theater company, we're looking to bring the experiences of people of Latino, however that, there's a whole debate about right. Latino, Hispanic, etc. But
it's not just what occurred for you here as being a Californian. It's broader than that. It
is. I mean, before we used to define Chicano as people of Mexican descent, that identity has now expanded to include people of descent from Latin America, people who, whose story goes back to Latin America.
Okay.
So Teatro Visión looks for works, for plays that reflect that experience as immigrants, are people who migrated here first, second, third generation, etc., which is very unique. Even though we live in America, our experiences are really defined by all these other factors, and the culture and the tradition and religion and the language.
Right.
And
so the plays that you do, do they tend to be traditional playwright, a Spanish-speaking playwright from Madrid or Buenos Aires or Mexico City has created something, and it's and it's like doing a Tennessee Williams type play or something like that? Is that the way that the company operates?
Not necessarily. We definitely have produced plays by Rodrigo García Lorca, who's a well-known Spanish playwright who, from the time of the Civil War in Spain. From many playwrights from Latin America and in Spain. But most of the work that we have presented have been by Chicano playwrights, people who were born here or grew up here, who have written about that experience of being Chicano. So that's most of the work that we've done, but we've also included playwrights from outside of the United States.
So you do a lot of encouragement of people to create the art, to write the plays. That's kind of what I'm taking away from what you just said, because it's not just you're looking and seeing, what do we want to do, this way. You guys do original works.
We do, and the origins of Chicano theater started with what we call la gente, our people. It originated by Luis Valdez, who was working with Cesar Chavez, with the United Farm Workers, and they used theater to engage people and to inspire them to take action.
Ah, okay.
So there was a lot of community participation. And so that's the foundation of Chicano theater. And for us, that is crucial in bringing that community participation. And we address, for us, it's very important that our plays address a specific issue. So we don't do theater just for entertainment. We seek to inspire and to inject that feeling of, I'm going to do this once I walk out of the theater.
Oh, interesting. I like that. That's very cool. Is theater, in this kind of format that you talked about, is it a primary part of the culture in and of itself? Or is it something like, it's always been, when you go, like when you were in Mexico, or the other people who may have grown up in Panama, or is that kind of community theater experience a standard thing? I mean, does that?
Well, this is very interesting that you mentioned it, because another reporter, a reporter who did an interview, made exactly the same question. And what I mentioned was, when we think about theater in the Western concept of coming into a building, paying a ticket, sitting, and seeing the performance, that traditional part, it's not exactly what I would define. But if we look at the origins of theater, which was really these community festivals, where there was some kind of staging of something, that has been part of our culture. I mean, the rituals, the religious rituals that are followed are some way of theater, and that has been part of our culture ever since we exist. So yes, that form of theater has been present in our culture, as well as the traditional theater nowadays.
Got it. Cool. So I want to talk a little bit now about some of the works that you guys either are doing or plan to do, and then I want to go into talking about your community involvement. Now, you got, if I remember, I was looking, I got a couple of images off the website. There's a show coming up in October, I think it is, called La Muerte, I can't pronounce it, Baila?
Baila.
La Muerte Baila, and I think we have an image, that's the first image that we have. So what does, translate that for me, because my Spanish is not good. So
La Muerte is death. Dances. That's the title. La Muerte Baila is death dances.
Okay, and what's it about?
It's a very funny play. It's a comedy, and the story is, in the afterlife, Death is really tired of working a year long, and there is the Day of the Dead when the souls come to the land of the living to celebrate with their loved ones. That is part of our tradition.
Right.
We set up altars to honor them. So they're all ready to come to the land of the living, and Death, or the Death, it's very happy because she will take a day off.
Okay.
But in order to cross the portal to come to the land of the living, they all have to do it together as a collective.
Okay.
But there's one soul who is causing that everyone stops. They cannot cross because one soul has unfinished business. So in order for them to cross, they all have to be ready. So there is the frustration of La Muerte, or the death, because she really needs that day off. And the other souls, we call them muertitos, they are frustrated because it's one time a year
that they get a chance to go do this. So is this an original play, or was this?
It is an original play written by Rebecca Martinez. She has worked with Milagro Ensemble in Portland, but she's also a member of Sojourner Theater. They do a lot of theater for civic engagement. And this was a play that was devised among the ensemble, the Milagro Ensemble.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, you told me that there's something that you guys are working on that I think is this one. Is this the one that you're working on that is the...
Yes.
Okay, so there's there's a play that you're working on, and I think it's slide number 3 that we have there. That's one that you're actually getting the community to help you determine what the play is going to be about. Is that so? Tell me about that. It has a working title of De Partera.
De Partera.
And so tell me about the expectation and the intent for this play.
So De Partera in Spanish, you know how a midwife helps babies to come to
give birth,
to life,
right? Yeah.
So a de partera is sort of a midwife that helps people transition into the afterlife. People who are dying, she helps
sort of
them
like
transition.
A hospice nurse.
Sort of like that, exactly. So the play, it's for our annual Day of the Dead celebration.
Right.
And it started in community sharing circles where we brought the community together and we asked them simple questions as, what death means to you? How would you like to be remembered when you die? How has death impacted your life? These simple questions were like the prompts for people to start sharing stories. A lot of very sad stories, a lot of very funny stories, a lot of incredible stories. We had a veteran who came in and said, I had never told my dad that I love him. And I never heard my dad telling me that he loved me. But when he was about to die, he couldn't die. And the lady that was helping him said, he's waiting for you to tell how much you love him.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I never done that. And I said it, and my dad opened his eyes, and he said, I love you too, son. And then he died.
Oh, my goodness.
How powerful this is.
Yeah, really.
So we collected a lot of these stories that speak to these relationships that we establish when we're alive and transcend.
And so, and you're working on putting this together as a production. When is the production expected to be presented?
Next fall, as in 2018.
Fall of 2018.
And it's a play that has music and will have dance, and it's very celebratory, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds real interesting. Yeah, no, that's cool. Now, tell me about so. Here I am. If I wanted to go to these shows, and my Spanish is virtually nothing, so I can ask for the check when I go into a restaurant or something like that. That's about it. But so how would I engage with the activity, especially if a lot of the presentation is in Spanish and not in English?
Well, for La Muerte Baila, the play it's spoken in Spanish, but we provide English subtitles, just like in the opera. So you're watching the play while you're reading the subtitles.
Oh, okay.
And the main language is English. So wherever you go, we will be presenting everything in English mostly. So there would be no problem whatsoever in terms of the language.
So for the people who are here for whom English is not their first language, like you were saying when you first came to the U.S., it was like a struggle for you, okay? So there are lots of people here who are from Latin America who are still fairly new here, and for whom the English part is a struggle. So for them, is the super titles do you project it in Spanish so that they can get it?
When the play is in English, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes the plays in both certain parts are in English and some parts are in Spanish.
Yes.
So okay. So you really look to try to make sure that they get it.
And when you are among Chicanos, you're going to hear people saying a sentence in English and then integrating a word in Spanish, and that's just our part of our culture, part of who we are. So there is no way that you're going to get lost because it's not absolutely cool. One or the other.
So there's two other things I really want to get a chance to talk about, and we've only got about 7 or 8 minutes left in the show today. So one of them was something that you were talking to me about earlier, which is how you look to engage the audience. You look to, in the works that you present at the theater company, you look to engage the audience in a way that's more than them as a passive recipient of whatever your art form is. Tell me about that. What do you do? How do you do it, and why?
Why we do it? Because one of the values of Chicano theater is to do theater to create equality and equity and justice, and that is only accomplished by equal participation of the individuals. And a lot of times Western theater establishes levels of hierarchy. And for us, that's not the way we want to approach it. For us, the artists are as important as the community and vice versa. So for us, it's very, very important to have community participation, and this comes in different levels. For the Partera, for example, we started by having the community speak and gives us the material so we can develop. For La Muerte Baila, the community will be participating in a collective writing of poems that will be then read on stage, and we will have other events where people will be participating. So for us, it's very, very important because it's about the community by the community.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So if it would not be unexpected, or that's not the right term. It would not be unusual at one of your shows for the actors to directly interface with the audience.
Particularly in La Muerte Baila, that's what happens. It's very interactive. We break the fourth wall, which is the invisible wall that separates the audience from the artists. We break it and we interact directly with the audience. That's particular about this show. The interaction from the community in other shows comes in different ways.
Got it.
This is one of the ways that we approach this time.
Cool. The other topic I wanted to ask about was your youth programs, because I understand that you look to do quite a few things with the young people in the community. And I think there was actually, you have a show called The House on Mango Street, which I think is the second thing, which is a youth-oriented presentation. Is that correct? Tell me about your youth outreach programs.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've been working lately is in cultivating new talent. And you can only do that by starting at a young age. And that's not anything new. But for us in our company, we had not done it this way as much as we're doing it right now. We didn't do it much before, and now we're really seeing that it's really important to bring these young people to be participants, because by educating them and training them, we are securing new people with different mindset and different or skills that then we can use for our productions.
So you're helping them to, become artists, actors, directors, whatever, writers, and you're giving them the opportunity to directly engage and participate from a young age. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. And I think the basic is we are trying to help them see the world through the lens of theater.
Okay.
Whether they want to become, actors, directors, technicians, or teachers, or just the fact that they're involved in the arts, that is transformative. So that's our main goal. We've done theater classes for them, and this is the first production in 34 years that we produce with only youth talent. We're very excited.
That's neat.
Thanks to the support of the Board of Supervisors.
The House on Mango Street, is that happening? Is that available now, or is that coming up? When is that?
It's coming up in May 2018.
May 2018.
And it's going to be only one weekend.
Only one weekend,
unfortunately.
Okay.
So May 17th to the 20th at the Mexican Heritage Plaza Theater, which is a beautiful state-of-the-art 500-seat theater. And we're already sold out for the student matinee.
Very cool. That's great. Well, I think what you're doing in that arena is fabulous, because I totally understand and get the influence and impact of artistic activity from a young age. It just, I've done a lot in musical stuff personally, mostly vocal, and it's just it's really an uplifting kind of an experience that you don't get if you just had your head's buried in the day-to-day sand of whatever your work is, or you're in school or whatever. Doing this sort of creative, artistic, almost metaphysical, spiritual kind of activity really does have an impact, which is very super positive.
Absolutely. It has a great impact in the psyche of the people and the behavior of people.
Right.
And yeah.
So talk to me a little bit, Rodrigo, in the few minutes we have left, about how people can participate. What can we do? What can people do? What do you look for from the community? How can the community help support what you're doing?
Well, first of all, come to see our productions, see the work that we do. Second, of course, if they want to donate, please, every dollar counts. Participate in the classes. Volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers to usher the shows. Be at the concession stand. Be board members. We're always looking for committed individuals to be board members. The board of directors really is responsible for maintaining the financial health of our organization, and just learning more about this great cultural asset that exists in our community.
It's fantastic. As you've been there for, did you say 34 years? Something like that?
34 years
That's
officially.
Phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Well, I want to thank you for being here. And I want to let the folks know, if you have any questions, I should have mentioned this earlier, but we really got involved in this conversation. If you have any questions or comments about what we're talking about and you want to reach out to Rodrigo or the company, you can email us at info@referencepointtv.com and we'll pass that along. But we also did present your website on the as part of our conversation today, so I know people can go up to the website.
Teatrovision.org.
Yes, teatrovision.org, and get some information or check things out. So, Rodrigo, thank you so much. This has been fabulous. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope the folks out there have gained some insight into Chicanx and Latinx theater here in San Jose. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on Reference Point.